My name is April Swift. I work with Shell, Fleming, Davis, and Mengi. I am a paralegal. My designation is a Florida registered paralegal, which means I'm registered with the Florida Bar as a paralegal. There are certain requirements for that. Most of them are education and experience. In a day, I draft legal documents to file with the court, correspondence to clients. I track my time based on billing on clients. I set hearings with the judges. I correspond with clients on the phone, email, do intake of clients, sometimes meet with them and discuss their cases, and calendar deadlines, and basically track a case over the course from filing to the end of the case. Also, in my typical day explanation, I'm do more transactional work. We're more referred to as transactional attorneys transactional paralegals by the litigation paralegals, which mean we're not traveling to court with our attorneys as much. We're not traveling to other cities for court cases to be heard. And typically we're not filing as much with the court. More in what we do is drafting the documents for things like corporate buyouts, drafting documents for real estate purchases and sales, and setting up corporations. But basically most of our work encompasses one transaction, like a sale, of property. Once it's done, we're done with our case. It's not litigation that will continue on in filing pleadings with the court, with the exception of probate. We do file pleadings, but again, if they're not, if there's nobody contesting the probate, then it tends to just flow right through, and you're not adverse to another party in your transaction. My hours for working for the day are from 8 to 4:30. Our office is actually open from 8:30 to 5, so we work any range from 8 to 5. We sometimes work late when required by a case, or if we have a big real estate closing, or any transactional stuff that we do that goes over. Stress level for a paralegal can vary depending on what attorney you work for and what kind of law you practice. Mine, I would say, is moderate. Biggest stressor being dealing with the public at large. You get a lot of people who are wronged, but there's no legal remedy for them, or in dealing with the attorneys who tend to procrastinate and can rush you at the end of a job. So you kind of have to balance out that stress throughout the day. There are certain, not educational requirements. Some states actually have educational requirements that require that you have to complete to become a paralegal. Some states don't. It's best to look at the bar website for whatever state you're in that you want to work in and see what their requirements are for your position. You're obviously better getting a bachelor's degree or a 4-year degree in legal studies, a pre-law, or a paralegal studies program. 2-year programs sometimes can be just as well. But a lot of employers, they can base what their billing rates are by your experience and your degree level, so that, the more they can bill you for, the more you're worth to them. If you look at the NALA, the National Association of Legal Assistants website, they also have what's called a certified paralegal. It's a CP exam, and it tells you the ways you can qualify to take that exam, but that's what employers are really looking for nowadays. Is the CP designation says, I went and I sat for this exam, I passed it, and this is, I know my stuff. And there's also, you can go on and specialize in certain areas with the CP exam. After you get the initial one, you can continue to qualify and be specialized in certain areas, which makes you more valuable to your employer. In your education, in the paralegal studies and stuff, you're going to do a lot of reading and a lot of writing, and a lot of taking facts and narrowing it down to what really matters. And you'll get cases that will make you angry. You'll get cases that you don't understand. Of course, the McDonald's spilling coffee case never made sense to me. After going through legal studies we heard, the other side of the argument by our tort teacher, you learn to understand that it's not a feelings, and it's not what the media presents. It's what the law allows for you to have. So using the logic and being able to take your feelings out of it's very important in the legal field. What to expect can be difficult in the legal field because it depends on what area of law you're in. After coming into the area of law, I thought I wanted to practice in criminal and family law. I've since learned those are big burnout fields because of the clients you deal with. Very emotionally charged fields can wear you out pretty quickly. Also, it's very hard to track your time on 6-minute increments, 0.1 hours, and you've got interruptions. You've got to stop your time, and the only thing you have to value yourself is your time for attorneys and paralegals. So that's something that you have to learn to deal with. In my area with probate, the hardest is probably dealing with people that are losing their family members and they're very upset, or in estate planning you've got people who are dying. And those, you have to be careful when you deal with those people, obviously, but it's also very hard to be professional and still be caring and not upset the client further. So it's a job where you're going to put your feelings a little bit back and try to just focus on your job, because most people are calling you to get the job done, and that doesn't matter if you're in litigation or transactional. You've got to learn to just focus on what your part of the job is. The best part of working in my field that I enjoy the most is helping people. The sense of satisfaction when you complete their documents. If they're buying a business, they're always excited and they're ready to go out and start that new business. If they're doing their estate planning, they feel like that's something that many people put off. They're like, it's done, I can finally relax. In probate, you're helping people through a really tough time of their life, and I like to make it easier on them, which is nice to be someone that can, tell them, no, that's not a rush, or let them call me and I'll handle it. Being able to take that load off of other people and be that barrier to them is very nice. Also, you'll get the rare clients that are just, they've been wronged, and you're able to help them even though sometimes they can't pay. Most attorneys do some pro bono work, and those really are great cases that you actually get a sense of satisfaction with. The worst part, there's quite a few difficult things. You're dealing with the public at large. You're going to have to deal with some difficult clients who don't understand why the system works a certain way, and they can't, why, that they feel like that it shouldn't work that way. They should be able to do it how they want to do it, when we have to follow the law. We can't just do, even if it doesn't make sense, we can't just do what we want to do. We have to follow those steps, and they can get really frustrated. They can call and cuss at you and be really nasty, and you have to try to explain to them how to go about getting it done properly, and it can be very hard some days. The nice part about being a paralegal is if it gets bad enough, most attorneys will then take the calls, and you can kind of step back away from it. So there is an advantage to not going all the way and having the boss to be that barrier. I deal with a lot of elderly clients. A lot of them can be lonely, and they will call and just talk, and it's hard to balance. You don't want to kick them off the phone, but at the same time you have other work you have to get done. So trying to be gentle with people that are very lonely can be hard, and sometimes you'll have clients that are injured and stuff that have no one else to talk to. So, and the procrastination, talking to other paralegals, it's pretty across the board, and I don't know that it's intentional by attorneys, I'll say that. We just get so busy, and we get so many phone calls and so many emails in a day. It is so hard to get back to everybody, and sometimes the attorneys will put stuff on the back burner. Well, because you're the main person they're calling, they tend to call you over and over as opposed to calling the attorney, or they realize they're paying the attorney a much higher billable rate than you, so they're going to call you when they have questions and stuff. So balancing that out, and then having the rush jobs at the end and not giving legal advice, because they know you know the answer a lot of times, and you may know the answer, but of course giving legal advice when you're not an attorney is a crime, so you have to be very careful to answer their questions to the extent you can, and then pass them on to the attorney to answer any other questions. And the final advice I'd have for anybody looking for this field, to go into this field, if you're still in the high school level, look for anything to do with criminal justice. It overlaps legal studies a lot. Even though you're in the criminal justice field, you're going to get a lot and get to see a lot of what happens in the legal field as well. Definitely look for, summer jobs. They do summer file clerks at law offices. They will use they don't use you for runners too much because of the liability of you driving, but they will use you. There's opportunities to work at law firms in the summer, which gives you an idea of what they do. Also at the courthouse, sometimes they have them. If you're in college level, I take an internship. I can't say anything more. In your last semester, if not for the last 2 semesters, do an internship. If they pay you minimum wage, take the minimum wage and do it. It is well worth getting your foot in the door for a new job, having experience, and showing off your skills. shadowing someone in the field. Almost all fields will allow you to come in and shadow. You can contact any of the firms and stuff, let them know what you're interested in. There's almost always attorneys and paralegals that will allow you to. We work with the Northwest Florida Paralegal Association, and any of your paralegal associations, contact them. They have mentor programs for high school and college students where they'll help you explain what it is. You know, it's not Law and Order. You don't get the excitement and everything closed up in a day. It's a lot of work, and it can be very rewarding, but it is, you got to take the steps to get there. You should, in my opinion, in our field now, if you want to focus on something, the number one thing you can start on in high school is your computer skills. We are moving in that direction where your computer skills are essential to know how to search documents, do reviews, and compare and merge, and do Adobe Acrobat. Focus on your computer skills. E-discovery, there are attorneys leaving the legal field every day to work in the e-discovery field. So aside of if you're interested in computers and the law, that is a very big field, especially it's becoming big with criminal law as well, with them having the ability to search cell phones for information. It's a really interesting field that overlaps the legal field as well. But the thing I'd encourage you to do the most is get out there and do an internship or go work a summer job or get a chance to actually experience what you do, because what you think you may want to do in the legal field may not be what you actually want to do. You may find another interest once you're in there, seeing what different attorneys and different paralegals do.